stronger area of rotation here in Montgomery County. There's actually a third area of rotation that does kind of trail it off to the south and west. We'll take the tornado warning first. Again, tornado warning in effect until 6 o'clock if you are in central and northern Montgomery County, anywhere along the I-90 corridor, and this is just east of Palatine Bridge. It's west of Mohawk. Wow, really strong signature here. In fact, you can kind of see this big inflow notch. There's the hook echo, which is an indication of the rotation, and that warning extends across the entire portion of the county. This is moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. Earlier today, storms had more of a northerly component, a little bit north of due eastward motion. This one is actually kind of turned a little bit, and that can happen with these rotating thunderstorms. They kind of create their own environments, and the motion can be a little bit deviant. So there is more of an eastward track with this, and we'll do a storm track on the area of the most likely tornado moving slightly north of due east at 40 miles per hour. So again, these storms have been moving along pretty quickly. But if you are in Mohawk, you want to take tornado safety precautions, and that is being in the lowest floor of the building that you're in. A basement is obviously the most preferable place to be, but if you don't have a basement, interior bathroom or closet on the lowest floor, certainly away from windows to protect from potential flying debris with this radar indicated tornado. So Mohawk at 5:33, Glen at 5:36, Tribes Hill at 5:40, Fort Johnson 5:44, Amsterdam at 5:47. This is a heads up for you in Amsterdam. Hageman 5:50. Glenville. This is in Schenectady County, so this is beyond the current tornado warning. But if the supercell holds together, and they do tend to have a longer life than typical thunderstorms, which can pulse up and pulse down. The rotational updraft can keep these going for a longer period of time. So we'll extend this into Schenectady County just as a heads up, in Saratoga County as well. Galway 6 o'clock. Scotia area at 6:06. Schenectady, if it holds together, at 6:08, and Rock City Falls is just a very early heads up in Saratoga County, 6:10. Basically, that is the trajectory of the storm, and it is moving quickly at 40 miles per hour. If you're just joining CBS 6, we're now in continuous coverage of a tornado-warned storm that is affecting portions of Montgomery County. And again, there's a pretty good hook with that. Don't want to ignore the storm that's to the north either, up here into Fulton County, because there's a pretty good hook there. Going to switch it over to our storm relative velocity so we can kind of talk about and show you what we're looking at here. And it's this area here, big, broad, mid-level rotation in the atmosphere. We've got these colors, reds indicating wind that's blowing away from the radar site, which is in Bern and Albany County, and the green, which is indicating wind that's blowing towards it. So again, very, very large, broad rotation here. We're not necessarily seeing what's happening closer to the ground, and that's why this is a radar indicated potential tornado. So we don't have ground confirmation that there's actually a tornado here. But a broad circulation, maybe a little bit tighter here, just to the south of the thruway, south of Mohawk, generally moving off to the east. If there's no tornado, it's still likely going to produce significant straight line damaging wind. So that's something you want to be concerned with, whether it's a rotating wind or a straight line wind. The damage can be quite significant. But that is the area of rotation, and that's why the National Weather Service has put out the current tornado warning. Now, a little bit further north, up in this area too, we have an area of rotation. Does not appear to be quite as strong up here in Fulton County, but there's definitely some indication that we have some rotation here. So we'll do a storm track on that area, which again is running north of the tornado-warned storm in Montgomery County. So this is portions of eastern Fulton County and parts of Saratoga County. Again, this circulation not as strong as the one that's a little bit further south. There's no tornado warning here. It's a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible for that area of circulation here. So we're looking at the Broad Albany area at 5:33, Hageman at 5:37, Galway 5:44, Milton at 5:56, Kings at 6 o'clock. And if this were to hold together, very early heads up for Saratoga Springs. This would be in your vicinity at about 6:03 in the evening. Current time right now is about 5:30, so about a half an hour for Saratoga Springs. Again, we'll give you kind of a sense of the warnings here. In fact, clean it up just a little bit and go right to warnings. Well, actually, let's take a look at the potential hail. This is our hail algorithm, and we're not really showing a lot, just the warnings. So again, it looks like this is mainly a rotation that would be producing wind and the possibility of a brief spin-up tornado. Now, want to look at this area that is actually running to the south and west of the tornado-warned storm. This is in the vicinity of Hessville, right there. And you can kind of see the notch, another little inflow here. This is that third circulation. If you were with us for an earlier cut-in, talking about this third area of rotation, does not look particularly impressive in the velocity right now, but it's definitely there. So there is a notch, and that, again, is running southwest of the prime area of circulation, which, again, is right in here. That is that significant area that we've got the tornado warning on. But definitely an inflow notch. No warning for this portion of the storm, but I'm going to run a storm track on it anyways, just because of the environment today and the fact that we do have mid-level rotation. So this one running a little bit south, slightly north of due east is the motion, and that's moving at about 40 miles per hour. So, again, things have been whipping along this afternoon because of the stronger winds we have in the upper atmosphere. So no warning, but we do have mid-level rotation. This, again, running south of the tornado warned storm. This is Ames at 536, Canajoharie at 539, Root at 545, Mohawk 554, Tribes Hill 601, Esperance, if it holds together, 603, and again, Amsterdam 607. So you can see a lot of the same towns in the same storm track because of the consolidated nature of this cluster. But high potential now for severe weather coming down the Mohawk Valley. So again, running an animation here, you can kind of see how quickly it's all come together, and all these little inflow notches and little hooks here. That's south of Broad Albany. You can almost see the inflow notch here. West of Galway getting a little bit more pronounced. That's going to just miss Amsterdam to the north. But again, the tornado warned storm here is making a beeline for Amsterdam. So if you're in Amsterdam, heads up here. You want to take cover. Again, safest place to be is a basement. If you don't have a basement, it's an interior bathroom or closet on the lowest floor, certainly away from windows. The whole key is to kind of put yourself as far from any potential flying debris, and those interior small rooms that have, a lot of framing around them, bathrooms especially because they've got plumbing in the walls. Those are really sturdy and strong places to be. And in this instance, based on the indicator here, we would suspect that this would be kind of a smaller spin-up tornado, but that can still be 70 to 100 mile per hour winds in a very brief burst and can do very significant damage, not only to structures, but bringing down trees and bringing down power lines. So again, we've got this hook here as well. So 3 areas of rotation that we're tracking. One of them has a tornado warning on it. The one to the north, it's a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible. No warning on this one here as well, but it is basically moving in the same general vicinity. So if you're across central southern portions of Montgomery County, you certainly want to be on alert. Root, Charleston, and again, that making a beeline towards Schenectady County as well. I think we're going to throw it over to meteorologist Craig Adams, who's standing by. He may have some sky cam shots that we can take on weather too, and I'm going to keep doing some analysis over here, so when Craig finishes up, we'll be back with some more storm tracks. Craig, can you take it away?
Steve, thanks. Again, we are looking at our Amsterdam Skycam. Let's take a look at it. We'll punch it up on Max 2, and we are looking out to the west there as to where Steve was mentioning the storm itself, pretty close to the thruway and moving eastward towards Amsterdam. So we have the camera position there, and we'll be watching it carefully as it gets closer to where our camera is. Winds are gusty out ahead of this approaching storm, so definitely, as Steve noted, this storm, despite whether or not it does actually produce a tornado, is going to have some fairly decent wind with it regardless. So we want to take cover with this storm as it continues to move in. So these storms have had a history of developing fairly fast. All of a sudden they're coming down, and the next thing you know, they're moving off at a quick pace. So these are all storms that if you're in the vicinity of at the current time, definitely take some cover. So we'll send it back over to Steve, and we'll keep an eye on this latest storm as it works its way down across towards the Amsterdam area.
All right, thanks a lot, Craig. Yeah, we'll check back in with you. If you get any other information, just give us a shout, and we'll certainly go back over to you. So updating you if you're just joining CBS 6, we're now in continuous severe weather coverage, and will likely be in continuous severe weather coverage for the next 20 to 25 minutes, or until this tornado warning is either canceled, but it will expire at 6 o'clock. But if you're just joining us, we are tracking a storm in Montgomery County that does have the potential of producing at least a quick spin-up tornado, a very high probability of damaging wind. This is is the tornado warning polygon. Now, it does extend west of Mohawk. This is the area of circulation, but we do actually have another area of circulation back here, which is running along and just to the south of that polygon. So we're certainly watching that. That's west of Route. And there's an area of circulation here that's now south of Broad Albany, passing just south of the Great Sacandaga Lake. That is also moving off to the east into Saratoga County. So the severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible with that one. But the strongest signature continues in here. It may not look quite as good as it did maybe a couple of minutes ago, but we are getting this big flare-up of lightning strikes just into portions of southern Fulton County, south of Gloversville. A lot of cloud-to-ground lightning there, and that is an indicator of potential intensification with the particular storm. Fairly narrow little wedge here includes the thruway in Montgomery County, and it is due west of Amsterdam right now. Strongest part of the storm due west, so we do expect shortly that our Amsterdam Freihoffer sky camera is going to pick up this storm as it is moving off to the east at a pretty rapid rate. And again, it's moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. So we're going to do another storm track on this just to kind of update you. We'll go over to the velocity mode because that'll give us the very best sense of where the strongest part of the storm is. And again, what we're tracking here is wind. This is not precipitation, and that's kind of the area of rotation that we're showing right now. So we've got these red colors, that's indicating a wind that's blowing away from the radar, and green colors, which are indicating wind that is blowing towards the radar. And you can just see there's been a change in the color of that polygon. So the National Weather Service has actually now just dropped the tornado warning and turned this back to a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible. And the reason that has happened, and I just mentioned a couple of moments ago that the storm didn't look quite as good as it did, and this circulation area is actually really very, very broad. It's not tight, and we'd like to see a tighter circulation, or we would actually like to see exactly what we're seeing here, because these big broad circulations are more of a damaging wind threat. Not that that's a good thing, but the tighter the circulation, the greater the potential for a tornado. But we do have this big broad circulation here. It could put out a spin-up type tornado really at any time, but it's not tight. So there's no indication that we would have a tornado right now. Again, this is just a radar indication. We haven't had any ground spotter reports indicating that anything has actually occurred with this at this point. But the tornado warning dropped, at least momentarily, and now we've gone over to a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible. So you can kind of see the change in color of that polygon. So we'll zoom it out a little bit so you can kind of get a better sense of where it extends into, and it does extend into portions of far northwestern Schenectady and western portions of Saratoga County. So again, severe thunderstorm warning. Tornado is possible. This is in effect now until 5:45. Again, radar indicated. Wind speed potential at least 60 miles per hour. Again, getting a lot of lightning strikes just to the southeast of Broad Albany. That's with that northern circulation. Here's the southern circulation due west of Amsterdam. And then we got the farther west circulation that is a little bit weaker, but there's still a bit of a hook, couple of inflow notches just to the west of Route. So there is certainly the potential for wind damage with that. We're going to stay with you for a couple of more minutes. Even though the tornado warning has, at least for now, been dropped, it's not out of the question that we can see these circulations spin up. That is often how these things go. We can see rapid changes in the intensity and the strengths of these storms, and you can get quick little spin ups, and then you can get little spin downs. And we may actually see that with this storm as it's moving into Saratoga County. So by no stretch of the imagination should anyone in the path of these storms let their guard down. So that's really much of central southern Montgomery County, the northern parts of Montgomery County, southern parts of Fulton County, and then eventually here into central southern Saratoga County. And we're likely to see development into at least the northern portions of Schenectady County. Look at these lightning strikes too. They're occurring well east of the main storm. So we always say when you can hear thunder, there's always a chance of being struck by lightning. These lightning strikes can come out of the anvil. They can travel 10, 15 miles from the base of a thunderstorm. And that's why lightning can be so tricky and so dangerous. But again, getting a really big flare up here, which is a little bit concerning of lightning. Again, this is right in the vicinity, almost ready to cross the border into Saratoga County. So definitely some intensification to there with this particular storm. We'll do a cross section here and kind of get a sense of what this looks like in the vertical, just to get a little bit of an idea of how tall the storm may be and our lapse rates in the upper levels of the atmosphere have been somewhat poor, which is perhaps keeping the storms a little bit shallower. But we are tracking at least the core of this thing up close to 20,000 feet, and it probably extends up to about 30,000 feet. So fairly typical height. But, sometimes these updrafts can collapse, and that alone can produce some localized damaging wind across the area. So definitely, again, in Montgomery County, Fulton County, into portions of Saratoga County, we're definitely going to watch for that potential. So we'll kind of widen things out a little bit, look at live instant Doppler 6, and put this in perspective as to where Albany is right now. And Albany is still pretty much in the clear, and you can see this extension of downpours and storms up into Washington, western Rutland County. This activity is much, much weaker. It's the action here on the tail end that's quite intense right now, and the development into Montgomery County moving off to the east. So certainly Schenectady, portions of Saratoga County. We get this back into northern Otsego County as we move over about the next hour or so. So again, severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible now. Tornado warning has been dropped, at least for now, for portions of Montgomery County, but we are still watching these areas of rotation, which could go on to produce at least a brief spin-up tornado, if not damaging a straight-line wind. All right, we'll take a break here, send you back to programming for a few minutes. We'll, of course, continue to monitor the situation and be back live as necessary. Right now, back to programming in progress.